everybody. Welcome to the Fired Up with CJ show. We are talking to Bonny Meyer about her book, Perfectly Paired, The Love Affair Behind an Iconic Wine. Bonny Myers is the principal of Meyer Family Enterprises, and she was the founder, along with her now beloved husband, Justin, of the Silver Oak Cellars. So, welcome.
Thank you, CJ.
So, we were talking about your love and the many expressions of your love for your husband, Justin, previously named Brother Justin. All right, so tell me a little bit about what happened with because your husband had a sudden death. What happened and when did it happen and tell me more about that.
Justin and I had, uh, over the 30 years of marriage together, we had created a winery called Silver Oak Cellars. And it was our life work together in many ways. And then just what felt like a minute, although it was a number of months, after we sold Silver Oak to our financial partner, we were up in the mountains with friends, and he died of a heart attack.
Oh no.
So one minute he was laughing and we were having a picnic, and the next minute he was gone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad died of a heart attack too, and I've talked to a lot of people who are in um, what is it called? They work with people who have dying loved ones, and they said it's such a big difference when you have a week, a month, 2 or 3 months to kind of say goodbye and like wrap things up. But when someone dies suddenly, like my dad did and your husband did, it's just you're in shock because it's just you're not expecting anything. So, what was it like for you in terms of the first um, a death in that way? What were the first, I don't know, first couple of months in the experience for you?
Oh, well, for that first number of hours, I literally wanted to run away.
Hmm.
I I wanted to run away from everyone and everything and just go off and be by myself and cry.
Mm.
But I didn't, and I felt like I couldn't, and I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did was I came home from the mountains and called my children, and we gathered together. And then the next day, my youngest child, who had been on the other side of the country, arrived. And that evening, Justin, I was sitting on the bed. She was lying in the bed where Justin usually slept. And we were sitting together and not quietly talking. And all of a sudden, a pebble from across the room, from 10 feet or so away, came and landed at my feet. Came flying across
In the bed. You were in bed and the pebble landed at your feet.
at
Okay.
my feet. Yeah, I was sitting on the bed. She was laying there, and I was basically tucking her into bed.
Yeah.
And we both looked down at the pebble, then we looked at each other. Then we looked down at the pebble again. Then we looked at each other. And then Holly very quietly said, "Hi, Daddy."
No.
We knew there was no, how, I mean, that doesn't happen. A pebble's coming flying at you, right? And we knew that it was him.
Mm.
And it was her dad trying to say, "Hello, I'm here."
Mm.
The very next day, another very hilarious, in this case, thing happened that continued actually over the next year, and that was a wall-mounted hairdryer, the kind that you used to find in hotels. You take the nozzle off and you dry your
Oh,
hair,
right.
and
Yes. Yeah.
right, nozzle on and it stops.
Right.
Well, it started going without the nozzle being off, so I took it, took the nozzle off and put it back on, and it kept going. And I did that 2 or 3 times, and it kept going. And I thought, I guess it's broken. And as soon as I gave up, it stopped. And thereafter, every time I walked into our bedroom, bathroom, which were somewhat connected, if I was really upset or even just walked into the room, the hairdryer would go off.
Wow.
This happened for over a year. And
Wow.
the more calm I got, the more accepting and calm around his death, the quieter the hairdryer would become. And
Wait. So there are different modes of the hair dryer?
it
Oh,
would
come
just,
on.
yeah, I mean,
Oh
the
my gosh.
motor would just, yeah, right. and
Wow.
and so it was Justin's way. The thing that's so hilarious about it is he hated the hairdryer. His
Oh,
elbow, he would be
funny.
at the sink brushing his teeth. His elbow would knock the thing off, and it'd go off. And
Oh,
he
how
hated it.
funny.
So he picked the thing that he really hated, and it was so typical. It's a sense of humor.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
uh,
Okay, and then what was happening with your dreams during that time?
so the other thing that happened on a few occasions, I had a lucid dream,
Hmm.
and a lucid dream is different than a regular dream. You feel like you're actively participating and actively talking with a person,
Mm-hmm.
and I found that when I woke up from the dream, I had two very strong reactions. I found it very comforting, and then it was very difficult that it was gone. That here he was. It seemed like he was right here, and then he was gone. And it was that, having lucid dreams, that inspired me to eventually attend programs at the Monroe Institute,
Mm-hmm.
where I learned how to astral travel or meditate in a way where I could actually reach very specific states of consciousness, including those that are beyond this life,
Mm-hmm.
and spend time with him. I managed to reach him actually in the first beginning
Through
class.
your astral traveling, you were able to reach him. And so,
Yeah.
what plane of reality? So, I met one of the teachers there. It's one of my most popular programs on my Fired Up with CJ page. And he said that you go to different realms. Like you have that when you go, there's all these different realms. So, where did you find Brother Justin, and what environment was he in?
So the first time it was the beginning class, and you actually go to a place, to a level of consciousness. They name everything instead of getting away from terminology that might be religious or
Mm-hmm.
belief system oriented. They use numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Level 21, and it's the bridge between our existence on Earth, a bridge between that and people who have passed.
Mm.
And so I went to 21, and he was right in front of me. I was
Wow.
looking right into his eyes,
Wow.
and it was profound. Later on, there is so 21 is the bridge, and there's literally a bridge there. You can walk across, and but typically I go to what they call level 27, which is the which is which is heaven,
Mm.
uh, which is the place where people who have died actually end up. Some people, even a film called The Astral City that kind of describes it
Mm-hmm.
um, in similar ways to what I've experienced there. And it's the place where people will meet their loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
Now there are other places in between. There are traditions that talk about the bardo
Mm-hmm.
and places in between that are not so pleasant and that one needs to get through. And so 27 is the place after you've gotten through, and most people don't get caught in the bardos.
Mm-hmm. I
Sometimes
see.
people do. Um, and so and it's very earth-like. I mean, you can watch movies like Defending Your Life,
Right.
and and it's very earth-like because it's very comforting for someone who's spent a lifetime on Earth.
Oh.
That feels very much like Earth.
And so does Justin meet you? And is it, I don't know, I've never done astral. I have tried doing astral projection and it's just messes with my sleep too much and I cannot deal with it. So
Uh-huh.
is it like an elevator button, like you go to sleep and you're like, please take me to 27 and then it lands you in 27? Or do you have to build up to 21 to get to 27?
It's so with the Monroe Technique,
Hmm.
it is um, it's a technique where it's a meditation technique. So you don't go to sleep.
Oh, okay.
So so classic meditation, body asleep, mind awake.
Right.
So it's so it's so it's meditation, and I go up through the levels of consciousness. So level 10, 12, 15, 21. There's some you skip, and then 27, and then there's levels way beyond.
Right.
Some,
It's
sometimes
very
I just
similar to, I don't know if you've ever experienced shamanism. They have the similar kind of things where you have a path and you memorize a path and you go to various levels on this continuum of consciousness. And then once you arrive, there's a different kind of experiential sense. Like
yeah
everyone has their own, I think, personal map. So, like, sometimes I go to Egypt and sometimes I go to Greece and sometimes I go to like the masters. Sometimes I go to the void, like I have literally
yep
have this map. So it sounds like they have a process to kind of navigate you there. Okay, we
well
have.
and you
Let's talk about this in the next segment because I'm like,
okay
okay, I could talk about this for like a year. Okay, so we've been talking to Bonny Meyer, who is the author of this book, Perfectly Paired: The Love Affair Behind an Iconic Wine, and she is talking about the experiences, these really supernatural, beautiful experiences that you had. Communicating with your husband, even though he had passed. And in the next, I'm going to want to talk a little bit even more about that communication process and what you've learned from that. Thank you so much.
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show. I would love your support in any way by giving me comments below or to subscribe to the show or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.